It's easy to fall into patterns where you maybe find yourself too busy to eat healthy foods or even too busy to eat at all. It's not that you don't have time to eat well, but you might never have believed that nourishing yourself on busy workdays was possible. So today, my guests and I talk about practical tips for making healthy eating simple and enjoyable, even in a busy schedule. We discuss the importance of health and nutrition and how the energy we bring in food preparation and eating also impacts our physical and emotional wellness. So grab a healthy snack and take notes. Are you caught in the whirlwind of overwhelming responsibilities? And does the very thought of Monday morning send chills down your spine? Well, it's time to toss those feelings out the window. Welcome to Season 3 of the Take Notes podcast, where you get to make yourself the priority in order to show up as your best self. I'm your host, Jen Rafferty, former music teacher, emotional intelligence practitioner, mom of 2, and founder of Empowered Educator, and I've been where you are. In this season, we're not just talking about surviving, we are diving deep into thriving. Are you ready to take the lead in your life? Well, let's do this. Hello, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Take Notes. I am so excited to introduce to you our next guest, which is Hannah McKitrick, who is an alchemist, culinary healer who is paving a new way of health that ditches the diet and instead combines energy with food to bring more lightness into your entire being, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. She has studied in culinary school in Italy, Eastern medicine at the Academy of Healing Nutrition, and even healed her own gut of Crohn's disease through food. And her business, My Intuitive Health, has helped hundreds of women truly nourish their soul health from the inside out, using food and connection as the catalyst that raises their vibration. She holds a healing yet playful space for women to have a ridiculous amount of fun while cooking healthy meals during her transformational cooking programs and culinary wellness retreats in southern Italy. Hannah, thank you so much for coming onto the show. I can't wait to start this conversation.
Yes, me too. Me too.
So I want to know, before we really dive into what you're doing now, your story, I know, resonates with so many people. And I would love it if you would take a few moments and share what led you down this path to healing through culinary arts and food.
Yeah, great question. So I love food. I think it's so yummy and so great. And when I was 12, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I was eating like what a normal 12-year-old would eat, lots of chicken fingers and fries, wasn't really into vegetables. And I was really just eating whatever I wanted. And I was hospitalized frequently with flare-ups in my stomach. And it wasn't until I was 19 that the doctors were going to have to do surgery because the flare-up that I had after my freshman year at college was so big. And that was when I was like, okay, this feels like a discomfort big enough that I actually want to change my diet, right? Because beforehand, I was like, I don't want to change what I'm eating. Like, that won't even work. And the doctors were giving mixed results about what to eat. And I didn't really trust them. And so finally, I found this holistic practitioner who uses food to actually heal your gut. And so I worked with him for a couple months and ate like tons of vegetables and whole grains. And that was it for a couple of months. And that really reset my gut and cleared it of all the toxins. And it worked, but it was also very, very, very rigid and strict, which did not work for me. And so on a physical level, it was working, but on an emotional level, it was not. And so in the years following that, I learned how to really bring back the type of foods that really brought me that emotional satisfaction while still honoring my physical body. So I had this kind of foundation of health through the vegetables, through the whole grains, really simple. But then I also was able to add back in like cookies and wine and pizza with friends. Like I was going back to college. And it's been 11, almost 12 years, and I haven't had a flare up since. And the reason I think this is cool is because I don't eat perfectly by any means. Like I just told you, like some of my vices, like I have cookies in my freezer now. Like I just had a bite of a cinnamon bun before getting on this call, but I also had my protein smoothie and all of that stuff. And what became clear the more that I did this and the more that I worked with clients is that it is about the physical food that you're eating, but it's also about the energy that you're bringing to your food. And so for me, like that cinnamon roll, like I made myself and like it's really yummy and I was really happy when I was making it and I was really happy when I was just eating it versus shaming myself, being like, oh, you're so bad. Why are you eating this? Like your stomach's going to hurt, like blah, 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 blah. And so that's kind of like the mind body connection that I think has been really transformational for me.
Wow, that's tremendous. And I have so many follow-up questions for you. And I think I want to start with what you were saying. I also have a 12-year-old. Well, he's going to be 12 this week, and he eats like a 12-year-old, just like how you described. So there seems to be this underlying belief that food needs to be either easy or healthy. And what you were just describing is not that at all. So can you talk a little bit about how you address those underlying beliefs that people have that were developed when they were kids?
Yeah. And so I really like to find the sweet spot. My business is called Intuitive Health. And the reason is because I believe that there is a health for every single person that you can create and discover that feels so natural and automatic and effortless because it combines what your body wants, what your mind wants, and what your soul wants. And so for people who want easy and convenient and healthy, I say absolutely. Let's figure out how to make that happen. For instance, if a recipe in a class that I'm cooking calls for a butternut squash, I will for sure encourage people to buy the pre-cut butternut squash because, okay, yeah, maybe it's not as fresh as the whole butternut squash that you like picked out of your own garden, but it's getting vegetables into your system and it takes away some of that mental stress of like, oh my God, I have to peel it. I have to scoop out the seeds. I hate scooping out the seeds versus open the package, dump on your pan and then season it. And so there are ways to really combine that ease with convenience. Again, it's not about perfection by any means. It's just about what will give you the most bang for your buck. And so foods that are naturally, like food is energy. And so a butternut squash is naturally higher in nutrients than something that's more processed, but it's about choosing.
Yeah, I think the part of this story that really resonated with me was that these false dichotomies that we've created, that food is either physical or emotional. And if it's helping you out physically, then it must be hard emotionally. Or in order for it to be easy, then it can't be healthy. And so what I'm hearing you say in your story is that those dichotomies are completely false.
Yeah. And one thing that I do really like to flip the script on is bringing that comfort to the healing foods. Because again, like maximize best of both worlds, right? And I'll give you an inside peek to my fridge right now. So I had a friend over on Saturday night and I made a homemade green goddess Greek dressing with basil and Greek yogurt and roasted sweet potato with curry powder, farro, and made a salad with chopped kale, goat cheese, and avocado. And so it's like the chopped kale with the warm sweet potato, the warm farro, and like this creamy dressing with the creamy cheese and then the silky avocado. Yes, it's a salad, but like it's so yummy. Like I'm so excited for dinner tonight because I'm craving it and I have leftovers. And again, that was Saturday night. It's Tuesday. I'm not lifting a finger. It's all easy, convenient there. It took me 30 minutes to like cook it once and then I have it for a couple days and it satisfies me on a physical and emotional level.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think what you say about raising your vibration through food, even just you retelling that story, I was fully caught up in how yummy that could be. I felt my vibration raise a little bit. So, can you talk about how you explain this to people or maybe open up the door so they can discover how to raise their vibration through food?
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is that it's definitely an embodied experience, right? I know you're a teacher and there might be some teachers listening, but it's not necessarily like, here's my flip chart and like, here's how to get like step 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I do actually have a 5-step process, but it's more about the 5th step in the process is embodying that it's going through the motions of actually cooking. and bringing this intentional energy and having fun while you're doing it to your food. So that is part of the process. But to paint people a picture, it's if you picture yourself eating, for me, sometimes I'll eat, a piece of cake, and sometimes I'll feel a little sluggish or not amazing. Versus if you go to a cafe that's an all organic, like crunchy granola hippie type of like food is love cafe, and you get this like Buddha bowl with a sauce and you just taste it and it's so fresh. And as you're eating it, you feel good. Like you feel like your energy is getting elevated mentally and physically. So you feel happier, you feel lighter, you feel more peaceful. There's also this piece of congruence because a lot of people who are mindful and into self-growth or into self-reflection, they want to be healthy, right? A lot of us have really good intentions of being healthy. And so when you're able to give yourself that experience of eating a nourishing meal that is packed with nutrients, there is this congruent experience that really satisfies you. And it feels fulfilling because I want to be healthy and I'm doing it. And so that's part of it, like the mental and then the physical nutrients of the foods that are closer to the earth or more simply have one ingredient. So quinoa, avocado, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, whatever. Those foods naturally have a higher vibration than something that's been more processed and more handled with more ingredients. And so the simpler the food, the more energy and nutrients it has. And so that's a really basic way. If you wanted to experiment tonight in your own kitchen, you could think of a meal that has as few ingredients as possible. And then as you're making it, be intentional and be excited about what you're making and how it's going to taste. And that combination helps to elevate your energy.
Yeah, it's an elevation of the whole experience of eating. And I love the word embodiment. That is something that we talk a lot about here in Take Notes and through Empowered Educator, that it's not enough to just speak it. You have to be it. And that's really where the change happens. And you use the word congruence a lot. And in my world, we use the word alignment, which is the same thing. And really aligning your actions with who you want to be, that congruence makes all of the difference in who you are as you walk through your days.
Exactly. And part of what I love is helping to make that alignment as easy and intuitive as possible for people, because like you said, some people have in their head that healthy has to be boring and not convenient. But I'm like, no, let's make it really fun. Let's make it really tasty and let's make it really easy for you. And so it's like painting a new experience for someone that they can do instead.
So I will also be honest with you. In my experience in the kitchen, I used to love cooking. I really did. And then there came a point where I just stopped, and there were a lot of changes that were happening in my life, and it did become harder. And I think a lot of teachers, especially teachers who are in the empowered educator world, who are having to deal with a lot of stressors at work, come home, and one of the last things they want to do is think about what's for dinner. So can you talk us through, and maybe this is for me selfishly, I want to know some of this. I know what to make for dinner. What is a really easy way to make this easier? Because you said it before, it's this idea that it's hard, that it's a hassle.
Right. Yeah. So I totally agree. Like people are like, oh, like, do you cook gourmet every single night? And I'm like, no, like I haven't cooked since, like I said, Saturday. And so one of the things I really like to do for me personally is have a sauce in the fridge. I make my own because they're so easy, and it usually has basil in it. So like any type of pesto or like the green goddess dressing, like any type of, sometimes I'll do like a yogurt tahini sauce. Those are like my 3 top ones. And then from there have one cooked like vegetable in the fridge or cooked grain. So like either roasted butternut squash or roasted like sweet potato or any like grain like quinoa or farro, or even roasted Brussels sprouts or eggplant, like something like that. So you have your sauce and something that's already cooked. And then from there, literally you could either make a grain bowl with the sauce and some cheese and avocado like toppings, or a salad. Just throw some lettuce on a plate, warm up whatever you have cooked in your fridge, put that on top, and then drizzle it with the sauce and toss it. That to me feels like the easiest because you can cook, and it's not like this huge meal prep day. Like you just have to cook two different things with a big enough quantity that'll last you a couple days. And then on the night of, you can kind of choose your own adventure. So it's if you want something more refreshing and warm and cold, then you could do the salad with the hot ingredients. Or if you want something a little bit more hearty and nourishing, you can make it into a grain bowl. So that's one thing I really like to do other than making one thing and making mass quantities of it. So like another dish I like to have on hand is spaghetti squash with pesto, artichokes, tomatoes, goat cheese, and like crispy chickpeas. So like that, for instance, I'm not going to be assembling it each night, but I'm going to make it and it'll make a lot of it. And then I'll feed off of leftovers for a couple days. Yeah. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah. And that is easy because then you're not worrying about dinner every night. It's just there for you. So the other challenge that I hear a lot from teachers is eating well during the day, that often there isn't a lot of time, or there's a perception that there isn't a lot of time to eat, and there isn't the opportunity to raise their vibration, especially when they need it the most, which is during the day when they're giving so much energy to other people. So can we talk a little bit about that? And first of all, prioritizing eating, and then what do we eat?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, if you like forgot your lunch, whatever you have to order, you can take 30 seconds, even 10 seconds, and just like take a moment and pause before you eat and just picture how you want to feel during and after your meal. If all else is lost, you can bring that own mindful practice into your food. And that is a way to transform any food into raising your vibration. It's easier when the foods are whole, but that's a good little cheat. The other thing of what you should eat, first of all, I would kind of want to know the person, what they like, what they don't like, but I don't know that. So I'll tell you what I would pack for a day because I used to commute to work, and I'm someone who like on travel days on airplanes, like I will pack 3 meals because talk about foods that have high vibration. Airport is the opposite of that. And so I like to pack my own food. So for breakfast on a travel day, for instance, I would do either hard-boiled eggs with salt and pepper and avocado, just like in tin foil. You can throw it out or Tupperware. Or when I used to commute, I would batch oatmeal, and you can use the whatever rolled oats, but I used some stuff from Whole Foods. It was some, I don't even think they make it anymore. It was called Oats Groats. It was like a really whole form of oatmeal. And so I would cook it over the stove top with water and salt. And then during the week, I'd pack it with just a little peanut butter, and then I'd have my banana. So that's breakfast. Snacks, I like almonds, apples, any type of fruit. I also like peanut butter stuffed pretzels because that's my emotional balance that I bring into my day. So take what you want. And then for lunch, I like salads for lunch, but like really yummy salads. I would do, again, like a homemade salad dressing. I think that is the number one thing to elevate the central experience of your lunch. So usually for me, that's like some type of green basil dressing, or you could buy like a bottled organic dressing from wherever. And then I like lettuce, cucumber, pepper, some type of cheese, some roasted sweet potato. You can even prep this, pack 2 to 3 lunches at a time and have the ingredients, and just so that you don't have to do it every single night like a robot. It's you take time, roast whatever you want to roast. If you want something warm, whether it's chicken or sweet potato, and then chop your lettuce into the Tupperwares, add your chopped fresh vegetables, add your other stuff, and then you have that for a couple days. That's what I would eat.
Yeah, and you do make it sound so easy. And I think also to go back to what we kind of were talking about, there are so many benefits of cooking and making your own food. And you mentioned bringing your own emotional energy to the food. Can you tell us a little bit more about that process?
Yeah. So there was this study done once, and it was with 2 apples, and one apple was spoken to really positively all week. It was like, you're so beautiful. You're amazing. Like, yes, queen, you grow that apple, whatever. And then the other apple was shamed all week. And it was like, you're so bad. You're awful. You're too big. You're too whatever. And like that type of energy. And at the end of the week, they cut the two apples in half. And the one that was shamed all week was rotten. And so I feel like that gives a really clear example of how impactful the words that we speak to ourselves and to our food are, and how you have a lot of power in that. And that's not something that's really talked about that often. And it should be. And I love that this generation is now really into like anti-diet culture and like not body shaming. And I think that's amazing because your system, if you're shaming yourself, or even if you're like, this food sucks, like you're literally increasing your stress hormones in your body and like raising your cortisol level, which makes it harder for you to digest your food. Versus when you're speaking positively, when you're calming your mind, it increases the dopamine and the serotonin in your body, which actually helps speed up your digestion.
It is so powerful. And we really do underestimate every single word that leaves our lips, particularly when it comes to our bodies and the food that we eat. So if we're bringing this beautiful intentionality and energy to the food that we're cooking and the food that we're eating, I'm making this connection here that it is then inherently going to be healthier.
Yeah. And health is not black and white. Like, how do you define a person's health? It's not their weight. Hell no. It's not how much they walk a day. It's not what they eat. It's a whole package. And so you bringing positive emotion to your physical food that you're digesting, hell yeah, that makes you healthier. That makes your food healthier because you're literally able to digest it more easily. And in the process, you're increasing the pleasure hormones in your brain. And that's really healthy. And it's bringing you to the present moment of enjoyment. And so I would say, yes, it is healthier.
Yeah. And I think this is another moment of beautiful embodiment because when you start to incorporate these practices into your life, into your cooking, into your eating, the kids around you are watching. Everyone's watching you. It's to learn how to be a human in this world and to have an example of someone who is very intentional and mindful and almost praising their food and their experience. That's a game changer for how they're going to then grow up and create habits for eating.
Yeah. And I just want to like highlight again that it's not about perfection. Like it's not about only cooking foods with one ingredient, but it is about like when you do want to have processed food, because I do enjoy snacks, don't make yourself wrong for it. That's the number one thing. Don't make yourself wrong. And then there won't be this mental dialogue of you're so bad and you're so this, but you will naturally, by not putting any restrictions and not making yourself wrong, your body and mind will naturally want to do the things that serves you. And so for me, packing my food for an airport travel day, I'm not like shaming myself like you have to eat healthy, but I just like my food better at this point because of how it tastes and because of the way it makes me feel. And when Delta gives me the like biscotti, those yummy Biscoff cookies, like I eat those and I'm like, oh my God, this is so yummy. This is like crunchy. This is satisfying. Like, traveling, I burn more energy. And so it's giving yourself a lot of grace and allowing what you naturally want to making that okay.
Right. And that really brings us back to that congruence and alignment. If you are choosing a processed snack, make it aligned, make it congruent.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Make yourself radically right.
I like that. Radically right. I love alliteration also. So bonus for that too. So can we talk a little bit about the retreats that you give? Because this is also so cool and special. And I would love for you to share more about what those retreats are and what the experience and transformation is of the people that go to those retreats with you.
Would love to. Italy is like my favorite topic. So I went to culinary school in Italy. I was 23. I had been working at a corporate job for a couple of years and I was like, my soul was like sucked out already. And I was like, I need to do something for me. And so I gave myself a little sabbatical, quit my job, went to Italy, went to this like magic land in southern Italy in the middle of nowhere with 180 views of the Ionian Sea and hands-on cooking all day long. And it was magical. And this is actually where I bring people on retreat now. And so the retreat is called Embody Your Light, and it's a culinary and wellness retreat. And the intention for people is that they come in with whatever they're coming in with, any problems, anything that's heavy, anything that's sticky, and they leave a lighter version of themselves. And so it's kind of talking about that energy that we bring to food. It's like bringing that to yourself and like having that be your unwavering beam of light that connects you up and down into your highest self. And so a woman, one in particular, like after the retreat was like, she's quoted somewhere on my something, but she was like, I feel like I found myself again. But then she goes, actually, no, I feel like I found a better version of myself. And so it really is about letting go of all the shit that goes on, like in your head, in your life, and connecting you back to your most joyous self. And it is on the retreat itself, it's both play and healing. And so we do like hands-on cooking classes and demonstrations and pasta making, cheese making, gelato, pizza. And then we'll do more intentional circles, healing circles of mind, body, soul, and what's present for you and blah, 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 like getting a little bit deeper into that self-growth discussion. And then we have a shaman that comes. And so it's more of an energetic healing so that your mind doesn't have to think so hard. And then we just have fun. And so we do cocktail parties, we go to wineries, do tastings, day trips, and in the fun and the letting go, it comes the healing.
Yeah. Can you just say that last part again?
Yeah. In the fun is the healing.
Yes. We think that healing has to be so serious, and it's the complete opposite. When we let go and have fun and let loose, that is actually what takes place. And I'm so glad that you said that, because as you were describing it, that's kind of, I was on this visual journey with you as you were explaining each part of this. And you're right. Educators often don't get the opportunity or feel as if they don't have the opportunity to invest in themselves in this way. But the truth is, you do. And when you do, you have the opportunity to remove yourself from, as you said, from all of the shit, so you can be in a place where you have the freedom and a safe space to be light and fun, to then heal and come back an elevated version of yourself. And there's nothing quite like it than being on a retreat like this.
And life is so short. And if you're not giving yourself the best life you can dream of, then like, what are you doing? And I have a tattoo on the back of my neck and it says Dolce Vita, which I got when I went to Calabria, Italy for the first time. It means sweet life. And I got it because being there set the bar for how good life can be to me. And I never wanted to forget how sweet life could be, because I was 23. I was going back home. I was going back into corporate world, but like I had this anchor of this is how good it can be. And so for someone to be able to gift themselves that for a week, it's like, why wouldn't you? And, you know, we've talked a lot about like energy and vibration, and money is also a currency of energy. And so it's like you putting your money into what you truly want that lights you up, that's like a fun experience. That's you energetically saying yes to more of that. And then the universe comes in magical ways to meet you there.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then you start to ask some really good questions like, how good can it get?
Yeah.
And that's when more doors open. And you and I have talked briefly about this before we were recording when we first met. It's limitless.
Totally.
Yeah. And so exciting. So I need to ask the question I ask every one of my guests on this podcast is, from your perspective and in your arena, what is your dream for the future of education?
So I think it would be really fun. And it's also hard for me to even imagine this because I had traditional education. But now I'm in my 30s and everything I invest in, like I didn't get my master's, anything like that, but I've invested in transformational coaching programs, in intuition coaching, in stuff like that. And the feminine soft skills, if you will, the intuitive brain, even like how I was just talking about money and energy, like that is scientifically proven. And I didn't learn about that in school. Like I learned about that in this era of my life. And I think it is so fascinating. And I also think it's really helpful. So like in school, you learn to like work hard and then get this result. But in the real world, I've personally seen, and maybe you have too as a business owner, like your hard work is not necessarily directly correlated with your success. And rather, it's actually when you lean back a bit and allow and receive and be open and fluid and flowy that like the success comes like that. And to me, that's fascinating. And I'm currently and have done a lot of work to rewire my brain of how to create the life I want. So yeah, any like intuition, anything. I don't know how you would talk about it to like 5-year-olds, but I watch my sister parent her kids and she definitely sneaks it in there. So I think there's possibilities.
Yeah, well, we're dreaming, so anything's possible.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I have also had to intentionally rewire my brain as a former overachiever, perfectionist,
Yeah.
to realize that the hard work isn't necessarily the thing that's going to bring the result that I actually want.
Yeah. And I think it's even similar with food. It's like bringing you back to yourself, to your intuition, to what works for you. Just giving people the power to bring in their own inner knowing and less of the this is how it's done or get out.
Ah, beautiful. I love it. So how can people learn more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah. So my website is myintuitivehealth.com. I have different programs coming up in the retreat. And I'm also on Instagram. It's just Hannah McKitrick, McKitrick.
Beautiful. And all of those links will be right there in the show notes. So it'll be super easy for people to click and get in touch and learn all the things. Hannah, thank you so much for your time and your talents and the work that you do in this world. I really appreciate you spending time here with me today.
Thank you, Jen. And likewise, though, I mean, the work you're doing is freaking amazing. So it was awesome.
Thank you. I received that. And if you loved today's episode, which I know that you did, go ahead and write a 5-star review, share with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Take Notes. Incredible, right? Together, we can revolutionize the face of education. It's all possible, and it's all here for you right now. Let's keep the conversation going at Empowered Educator Faculty Room on Facebook.